Mortellaro and digital dermatitis are terms for the same condition, and essentially it's a skin condition affecting the skin in the region of the hoof. And you'll recognise it by these red strawberry type lesions. In the last number of years, the incidence of it has grown massively. Teagasc Moore part did a study in 2016 where they found a relatively low incidence in the herds they studied in the Munster area. Certainly from speaking to hoof trimmers and from my own experience, the incidence of Mortellaro or digital dermatitis has increased dramatically in the meantime. From what I'm seeing, the majority of herds have it. Some herds have it worse than others, but it's present in the majority of herds, and in some herds it's a really significant problem. Digital dermatitis is an infection. It's caused by a bacteria called a spirochete. It's resident in the lesions on the foot, and whether those lesions are in the red raw stage or they're in a heel stage, the bacteria is there on the foot. It can be spread via slurry. Now, the bacteria does not survive a long time in the slurry, but certainly in situations where cows are walking through slurry and their feet are wet and dirty, those conditions are very conducive to the development of Mortellaro. The logical conclusion from that is that the cleaner you can keep your environment and the drier you can keep your environment, the less spread you will get. Now, that's one of the reasons why we see quite a bit of Mortellaro when cows are indoors, and we see less so when they go out of doors. Okay, if Mortellaro is an issue on your farm, I think the most useful way to think about it is to think in terms of two challenges. First challenge is to deal with the cows that actually have it. And all the most recent research suggests the best way to do that is to go through your cows, look at them in the parlour, look at their heels and identify the cows that have it and treat them on an individual basis by lifting their feet, cleaning off the foot and spraying them with an antibiotic spray daily for at least 3 days. So that's a way of dealing with the ones that actually have it. And the second consideration then is, how do you stop new cases developing? How do you stop other cows getting it? And this is where foot bathing comes in. On farms where Mortellaro is present, it's really essential that a farmer has a foot bathing program and does it consistently. I often draw the analogy with COVID. I think with Mortellaro and COVID, if you take your foot off the pedal at all, you're going to end up in trouble. So the thing to do is to decide on a foot bathing regime and to stick with it. The amount of foot bathing that is required will depend on the degree of infection that you have. If it's very severe, it may well be worthwhile to consider foot bathing every day for a period. And then over time, as you get on top of the problem, you can roll back a little bit. Certainly there's a bigger requirement for more foot bathing when cows are indoors, because that's when we see more spread. When they're out of doors, the amount of spread we see is less. We tend to see sporadic cases rather than big clusters. But I think that if you have Mortellaro in your herd, I think it's also important that you maintain a certain level of foot bathing. It might be once a week while your cows are out of doors. You just want to stay on top of this problem. You don't want it mushrooming.